day and welcome to our cluster presentation for Cluster 1.1 Youth Entrepreneurship Development Skills. My name is Davi Borman.
And I am Muriel Sarfontaine-Jordan.
Our core program is Youth Entrepreneurship Development, with an emphasis on every synergetic element of the process, from opportunity finding, ideation, market feasibility, product development, to business setup and establishment. We take our delegates to the phase of being a potential entrepreneur to becoming an entrepreneur and following them on the journey beyond.
The Youth Entrepreneurship Skills Development Cluster pertains to enhancing entrepreneurial skills within the youth development sphere. This program is developed to enable the University of Pretoria, UNICEF and Future Africa to scale the advantages of youth entrepreneurship, inclusive of self-employment, eventual job creation, economic growth, and higher living standards.
Our hybrid model of delivery serves as a method of training that encapsulates both synchronous and asynchronous training and interaction with our delegates. We also include ongoing online entrepreneurial support to enhance learning and to also assist with the actioning of the process of entrepreneurship. The COVID-19 pandemic created an opportunity to pivot existing business models into addressing new needs in the market environment, or to realign current business models.
My name is Dr. Osman Mlonyeni. I am a project manager at Innovation Africa at GP. The presentation we're going to give is for food, nutrition, job opportunities, and agriculture enterprise skills training clusters. Africa has a responsibility to address the World Bank report, which was published at the turn of the century and was titled, "Can Africa Claim the 21st Century?" Countries within the African continent need to be encouraged to commit to the African Union target of 1% GDP spend on research and development. It also needs to grapple with the reality that Africa is on the fringes of knowledge production networks. In order to tackle this head-on, a different mindset is required. Professor Philip Sharp provides this counsel, I quote, "Searching for solutions to today's global challenges requires that the scientific community operate in fundamentally new ways. Developing effective solutions requires converging approaches where universities and research institutes have critical roles to play. It is essential that they develop appropriate training programs and help stimulate multidisciplinary international collaborations." For over 22 years, the Forestry and Agricultural Biotech Institute, known as FABI at the University of Pretoria, has been inspired by this particular mindset. In its quest for research excellence, FABI has been driven by a problem-oriented, team-based, interdisciplinary approach to their research, teaching, and research services that is underpinned by a wide array of technical expertise. Their scientific community is characterized by global research networks, and the research impact has also saved several millions of rand to the forestry industry in South Africa. FABI is one of the research institutes that are contributing to Africa's response to the question posed by the World Bank report that asked, "Can Africa claim the 21st century?"
Hi, I'm Stefan Deppenaar, currently a PhD student at the University of Pretoria, also the Secretariat for the Centre of Study of Resilience at the University of Pretoria. It is a pleasure for me to introduce to you Cluster 3.1, Transdisciplinary Training Workshops. The Centre for the Study of Resilience is known as a platform where transdisciplinary knowledge on resilience are generated as manifested in the Global South, with the aim to build existing resilience knowledge and to build human resource development in the relevant fields. The Future Africa One Hope webinar series was designed in collaboration with the CSR, which specifically incorporates the One Health concept of a collaborative, multi-sectoral and transdisciplinary approach, working at the local, regional, national and global levels with the goal of achieving optimal health and well-being outcomes. The Future Africa One Hope webinar series aims to build a collaborative, transdisciplinary research capacity of early career and doctoral students through a One Health and Wellbeing lens. The current activities of Cluster 3.1 revolves mainly around the planning and implementation of the Future Africa One Hope webinar series. During part 1 of the Future Africa One Hope webinar series, we had a broad introduction to the webinar series. The second part of the Future Africa One Hope webinar series, we are going to engage with panels that is specifically transdisciplinary in nature. During the third part of the Future Africa One Hope webinar series, we want to specifically embrace what is being done already by early career scholars and doctoral students. We will conclude the Future Africa One Hope webinar series with developing a career in transdisciplinarity and what it entails. The Transdisciplinary Training Workshop contributes to COVID-19 research by providing a next generation of researchers in Africa with a menu of transformative competencies to address current and future global challenges in ways that mobilize socially useful knowledge. The impact of the Future Africa One Hope webinar series on emerging environment and health challenges is a community of young scholars in Africa that are connected regarding transdisciplinary scholarship and creating awareness amongst early and doctoral career scholars in Africa on a new mode of doing science, transdisciplinarity.
Professor Wanda Markotter, and I'm going to talk about the cluster UP One Health for Change that's under the UNICEF project at Future Africa. So if we really look at how our research in this cluster address COVID-19 questions, there's two parts. There's the direct research that we do on COVID, trying to improve surveillance, trying to understand the disease, trying to understand people behavior. But then there's all the indirect questions. You know, how are we going to look at food security in the future? How are we going to train young scientists, which is probably the most important thing that we need to do. So we have to look broader than COVID. We know that this will probably not be the last pandemic. So we need to really be prepared from a multidisciplinary environment to really address these questions. And we also need to look beyond just the disease. The activities that we do specifically in this cluster is to bring mentors and mentees together, specifically doing a research question. And we equip them in this process with training on ethics, training on communication, training on how to write better scientific publications. And this really equipped them to work in this multidisciplinary environment. It's got a much broader impact in the long term. And the focus is also to make this broad on the long term. So it's got an application for Africa. We're also sitting with low resource constraints in South Africa, as in other African countries. And we need to find solutions that's going to work for our country, but also for the rest of the continent. And sometimes this is not fancy solutions. It needs to be things that's practical. It needs to take communities into account. Societies need to be able to implement whatever solutions we come up with. They need to be able to practically use the information to really make a difference in their lives.
I'm Stephanie Burton. I'm a professor in the Faculty of Natural and Agricultural Sciences at the University of Pretoria, and I am a professor at Future Africa. I'm in charge of the cluster for this program, which covers student support and cross-cutting skills, which really includes mentoring, ethics, and communication. This is a rapidly moving program, and our trainees are expected to absorb new knowledge and new skills in a short time. So the cluster has a focus on including these elements of mentoring, ethics, and communication in order for them to be able to coordinate the research that they are going to do. The mentorship program will provide our trainees with guidance from experienced and established researchers in a broad range of fields so that they will gain wisdom and they will be able to achieve their goals in their research through that guidance. The ethics training component of the program is to enable our students to learn what is internationally accepted in terms of truth and meaning and value of research, and to ensure that in this data-driven and information-driven world where anybody can find information, Our students need to know that they are publishing reliable results, that they are not misrepresenting their work, and that they are not in any way misinforming the public. Science communication has been crucial in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the general public need to know that the information that they are being given is true and that they can rely on it. So we wish our students to be engaging in communication of what they have been doing for their research. Through all of these programs, our students will benefit from the support of the interactions. They will become aware of their ethical conduct in their research, and they will be able to communicate and share effectively, leading to improved understanding of the many different results for the public and for the government and to inform policy. Future Africa contributes to this by being a community and a hub, a home for scholars, and a physical meeting place. It provides an environment for science leaders who share a sense of social responsibility in Africa and across the world. Future Africa has much to offer to our students and to our community. Thank you.
Augmentative and alternative communication in a health crisis. Augmentative and alternative communication refers to less frequently used modes of communication to help people with disabilities to communicate. It includes strategies and techniques like, for example, sign language, keyword signing, natural gestures, graphic symbols, communication boards, and speech generating devices. Augmentative and alternative communication has two parts to it. It can facilitate people with disabilities to express themselves using these alternative strategies. Alternatively, it can be used as a way to assist people to comprehend information and understand information. This project was funded by UNICEF and Future Africa and involved the Faculty of Humanities, specifically the Center for Augmentative and Alternative Communication. The team comprised teachers, speech-language pathologists, sociologists, African language experts, and disability advocates. It really had a transdisciplinary approach and involved a variety of perspectives in developing the health education materials. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted some of the systematic vulnerabilities for people with disabilities, not only in terms of their medical vulnerability, but also in terms of the accessible health information for people with disabilities. The project actually included youth with disabilities in the development of these health education materials. We obtained their perspectives using a variety of innovative technologies such as augmentative and alternative communication, using talking mats, for example, as well as graphic symbols to be able to get their understanding. The families of the youth with disabilities were also involved in the project to provide their perspectives on what were some of the health education needs. Many of the families, for example, highlighted the need for mental health services for the youth with disabilities, as it was really difficult for them to process some of the restrictions imposed on them due to COVID-19. We also consulted with healthcare professionals that worked in the education sector as well as in the health sector regarding some of the communication needs identified for youth with disabilities.
Hello, my name is Angeline Dos Santos, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to present the projects within cluster number 5.2, Analytical Skills on Social Dimensions of Health Crisis for Community Outreach. The projects in this cluster are situated within the School of the Arts at the University of Pretoria. They are each a response to the call within the original concept note that made specific reference to social skills for resilient communities. There are 7 projects within this cluster. The first one is entitled Shapeshifters, an arts-based participatory action study with NEET youth. That is youth who are not in employment, education, or training. Through arts processes, including musical improvisation, songwriting, drama, and visual arts, participants in the Shapeshifters project have been identifying challenges in their communities, identifying resources, creatively working on solutions, and examining what is required to sustain engagement in these solutions. The second project is entitled The Impact of Arts on the Health and Well-being of Children and Youth in South Africa. This project aims to explore the outcomes and benefits of arts-based programs on the health and well-being of children and young people in South Africa. The project will explore how outcomes and benefits are defined and described by researchers, organizations, practitioners, and service users themselves. The purpose of the study is to contribute to the evidence base and develop insight that would be useful for organizations as they develop arts-based practices that contribute to the resilience of the individuals and communities they serve. The third project is called Opening Up Empathy by Learning with Each Other. The goal of this project is to build more resilient and compassionate communities who are better able to express empathy and who can examine and shift relational systemic dynamics so as to create spaces where empathy is more likely to arise. Interactive arts-based workshops were held with a range of groups. The goal was also to explore how the concept of empathy can be communicated with a range of different people. The fourth project is entitled Creative Collaboration, using arts therapies approaches with teachers to build resilience. In the project Creative Collaborations, 3 arts therapists, a music therapist, a drama therapist, and an art therapist worked together with 9 school teachers during 4 online 2-hour group sessions. Their goal was to create a space for the teachers to engage in supportive processes directed at the stress and challenges that they have faced during the COVID-19 pandemic. The 5th project is entitled the Harfield Village Project. The study aimed to represent the spatial and social fragmentation exacted by race-based forced removal of the Harfield village in Cape Town through quantitative and qualitative data, and how these shape ideas of community and cohesion. The 6th project is entitled Deliberate Practice as a Component of Grit. Since the lockdown, students have been deprived of constructive interaction and mutual support. Developing resilience and, in the long term, grit is necessary to negotiate and overcome such challenging and disruptive times. The aim of this project was to create awareness among the 12 participants in the study, all of whom are undergraduate students in the Classical Voice and Opera Studies program. Lastly, the 7th project is the Javits UP Job Shadowing Project. This is demonstrating how early career artists can be equipped through an internship in order to embark on the path towards curating art exhibitions. This project has explored how such an internship can take into account the restrictions imposed within a global pandemic. As restrictions end, some organizations do not want to return to normal, and therefore the lessons learned during such a project will have lasting importance. Future Africa recognizes that searching for solutions to today's global challenges requires the scientific community to operate in fundamentally new ways. Future Africa highlights the importance of diverse knowledge systems, new ways of living, realizing justice, and enhancing well-being. The arts are crucial within all of these areas. Each of these projects lend themselves to collaborative potential, interdisciplinary ignition, and dynamic unfolding within the country and the continent. Thank you.
My name is Shahbo, professor at the University of Pretoria, director of Future Africa Institute at the University of Pretoria. The first point which I think is important when we talk about COVID is to understand what COVID comes with, what are the causes of COVID. As many institutions are working on the scientific dimensions of the cause of COVID, the importance of understanding COVID goes beyond the medical aspect of the issue. It goes through the social dimensions of COVID, the economic dimensions of COVID, the political dimensions of COVID, and many of the drivers that the COVID has brought into the communities and people who are living in the ground. So it's very critical at Future Africa, which is a Pan-African institute to promote transdisciplinarity research, to address issues which will harness lessons for current and future crises and pandemics such as COVID. The second important point is Africa is exposed to various risks, and the COVID risk is one of them. But you have heard that the environmental risk is encroaching, and every year during the rainy season, during the dry season, so many crises happen, fires, drought. Our take into COVID is, yes, COVID is important. We will try to do our best to bring the solutions. We should not forget or ignore the other risk factors which are related to our environment and our health system. And health system always comes with a diversity of aspects. It's not only medical, as I just said. It can be various aspects that require that various disciplines, various scientific, research areas come together, combine their ideas, and try to cook solutions that take into account the various aspirations and dimensions of the issue. And COVID is one of them. With the UNICEF program, what we try to do is to bring the diversity of scholars that involve a lot the young scientists to create co-designed solutions for COVID. And I think this is the approach that will serve as a benchmark on the way we establish transdisciplinarity research in Africa.